Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor. We are from another place, and we are talking about Twin Peaks Season 2, Episode 1. It's called May the Giant Be With You.
It's a good title.
Yeah. Interesting title. I seen the title and went, what the hell is this going to be about? Because some of the episodes, it's just one word. It's a very common word that can mean anything, whereas May the Giant Be With You...
Yeah.
And, you know, after watching, I'm like, you know, it actually is kind of a Star Wars reference. It's just instead of the Force, there's a giant helping him out from the beyond.
Same principle, different being.
Oh, God. This is actually a couple of days later than it would have been. We'd planned to have this up earlier in the week. We made the schedule. We were sticking to it. But we didn't know this was a double-length episode. We went to go watch it, and it was like, oh, crap. This is too long for us to watch in the time we've given it. Oh dear. So it got pushed. So apologies. But still 2 this week. You'll still get the next one before the end of the week. But here we are. So this one, a lot of this was dealing with the fallout of the finale, the Season 1 finale. Which they even made a joke out of, because, you know, when Cooper does get picked up and he's in the hospital, and the sheriff's like, right, Lucy, bring Agent Cooper up to speed. And she's like, got her notepad out, she's like...
It's like, alright, here's your recap.
Right. Jacques got strangled. Leo's been shot. The mill burned down. There's probably like another 2 or 3 things. But the point was...
The people in the mill had smoke inhalation.
Yeah, Shelley and Pete had smoke inhalation, but Jocelyn and Catherine are missing. We don't know where they are.
Yeah.
There was like so much. She listed off so much. And Cooper went, how long have I been out? Thinking he's been out for like a week because so much stuff happened.
About 9 months, mate.
But I don't know, a few hours after that.
Yeah, I know. He goes, oh, it's 7:30 in the morning.
Do you know what? I am so glad we watched this like a week after that, because I can't imagine coming back after like a 6-month break and coming back into this without...
It probably would have been about, what, 4 months? Typically, assuming it was the May to September.
Yeah, something like that. But just imagine not watching this for 4 months and coming back to all this information. You'd be like, oh, God.
That's why it was there, because usually you'd have it previously on, but start of a season doesn't typically have that. So it'll be like, right, okay, well, let's just remind everyone of the major plots. So we'll just literally just list them off.
But it made for a good joke. It was quite funny, so they did it quite smart. So let's talk about the opening and ending of the episode.
Okay, getting right into it.
Yeah, well, it's how it starts, and it's what the title of the episode's about, and so Cooper's lying there dying on his floor, and it's funny because we said, oh, maybe he's got a bulletproof vest on, and he did. But again, they make a joke out of the fact that he rolled it up because he was trying to get to a tick that was scratching him or itching, being itchy, and when the doctor pulls out the bullet, there's like a tick on the end of the bullet. The bullet hit the tick.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. But he's lying there dying, and the bellboy. It's weird to call him a bellboy.
Room service, dude.
Yeah, room service. I mean, he's essentially a bellboy, but he's like so old that it's weird to call him a bellboy.
Yeah.
But he comes in and he's really old and ditzy, and he's like giving him his warm milk that he's ordered. Meanwhile, and I'd forgotten about the note that Audrey left for him until they brought it up at the end, because presumably when he gets shot, he's like, you know, he dropped it and it's...
No, you see it on the table.
It's on the table at the start.
Because he picked it up at the end of the last episode. He picked up and put it on the table.
Well, clearly at some point it gets knocked off the table and goes under the bed, because that's where we see it later on.
Well, that's what I thought was interesting, because I thought I saw it on the table. Did the bellboy, the room service guy, you know, when he puts the phone down, is the phone not on top of the note?
I wasn't looking for that detail.
I thought that's what, because it was on top of like a piece of paper, and I thought that was the note.
Maybe.
Which is why I thought, oh, maybe that what's moved it.
Regardless, it's under the bed at the end. We know where it is at the end. We see it. The camera clearly makes a point of showing us where it is. But this old guy doesn't seem to understand the levity of the situation at hand.
Yeah, he's a bit not right in the head.
Which, we know he ordered milk, so I presume he must be real, but at the same time, part of me wonders, was he even real? Because he's so weird, the way... And notice as well that he comes in 3 times. Rule of threes. He comes in at the first time, it's the long visit where he drops off the milk and he makes him sign the thing. Yeah. And the whole thing's very sort of black comedy, because he's lying there dying and the guy doesn't care. But he thinks he's being helpful anyway. And he's like, I've heard about you. And like
He does hang up the phone though, so he does like interact with other things.
he does, yeah, he does. And he gives him the thumbs up, and then he does it again, and then Cooper finally gives him the thumbs back, and then he leaves the room, and you think the shots, you think the scene's about to end because it cuts back to Cooper, and you think, oh, this is where it's going to cut to. Other stuff, fade to black, whatever, but then it cuts back to the door, and the old guy comes walking back in and gives him another thumbs up and another little wink, walks away.
Aye.
Then he comes back again. And that's the third, and it's after the third time the room goes dark, and this giant, this guy who's nearly hitting the ceiling, appears. Very skinny.
He fades in.
He fades in. He's got a bow tie. That's kind of the look he's going for, and he says some cryptic shit to Cooper.
Pretty much.
Which I've brought up because I feel like I was never going to remember the exact wording of these points if I even remembered them all at all, and there were. At the time, I thought maybe they'll all show up in this episode, but no, they didn't. One showed up. The other two, we're still getting to those.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is what the giant says to him. He says he's going to tell him three things. He says, "Think of me as a friend," when he asks who he is. He says, "The first thing I will tell you is that there is a man in a smiling bag." Right, and that kind of comes up in the episode because he sees a man in a body bag, and then he sees the body bag like hanging on the bathroom wall, and it looks like it's smiling because it's sort of like hung up at either side. And so we get that. The second,
assuming it is just that.
The second is that the owls are not what they seem. Now, the only time I've encountered owls is when they were in the forest and they were looking for the cabins. I believe there were shots of owls during that stuff.
Okay.
Well, not he's trying to say the owls are something else in disguise or something the same like that. I don't know, but I was just when I heard that I was like, right, have we seen owls before? Is there owls in the show? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it probably doesn't mean that. And then the third thing is without chemicals, he points. If I was to guess what that third one means right now, what I think it means is that something's going to like have a chemical spilled on it. And when it's like after it's like melted some of it away, it'll be pointing at something. But then it says without chemicals, so maybe it's the opposite. Maybe
the bit that doesn't get the spill on it.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Right. The other part that I thought was really interesting in this whole scene, though, is the giant says, "We want to help you," and Cooper says exactly what I was thinking in my head. Who's we?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Cooper, you're on the ball. I like the way you think, Cooper. You're thinking exactly
you're
what I'm
bleeding
thinking.
out, but your mind's still sharp.
Yeah. And I'm like, who is we? I don't know who we are. Is this just something from the beyond? Is this something trying to help? Is it related to the other place with the Laura's cousin from the other place and the little man? I don't know.
But this is the first time since that where things have gotten properly strange.
It's also the first episode in a little while that David Lynch has directed. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Probably not.
No. So there's that. But then at the end of the episode, Cooper's like had his days, he's done his stuff. And we'll talk about that obviously, but he goes to bed again. He leaves Diane a message at the end. Saying that he needs to sleep. And, last night when lying there dying, I saw a giant who told me things. And then, of course, the giant appears once again. Lights up like it did before, and he says, "Oh, there's something I forgot to tell you. Don't try and solve everything at once.
Yeah.
You build a road by putting down one pebble at a time, or whatever.
One stone at a time.
Yeah, one stone at a time. Yeah. Good advice. I that was the one out of all the things he said to him. That's the one I understood the most. That was just like a good bit of advice. Like, yeah, don't get ahead of yourself. You slow down.
Yeah. It's kind of
one step at a time.
Focus on one thing. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, but then things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because we cut to Renette Pulaski, who was the girl who escaped and was found, and she was with Laura in the night that she died, along with Leo, who's now in a coma, along with Jacques, who's now dead. Facts that are clearly covered. That was the other thing in this episode, is they had that meeting in the police station where they all sat around a big row of donuts, might I add. lovely
Nice
donuts.
close up as well on the donuts.
Yeah, it did this great thing is they started like telling the details of like everything we know about that night so far. The camera just pans across the donuts nice and slowly
Yeah,
with
yeah.
dramatic music because the donuts are really what the whole thing's about. That's not lie.
Donuts are the killer.
And then Andy gets pissed and tells Albert to go F himself, basically.
Pretty
And
much.
Lucy, despite being pissed at him all episode, because she's still been pissed at him ever since she told him she was pregnant, looked very turned on after Andy stood up to him. It was glorious.
It was.
But yeah, Lucy being impressed when Andy does something impressive is actually one of my favourite little running gags now.
It doesn't matter how many times, it's still impressive.
Yeah, it's just the way her little face sort of like looks proud of him, and
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, something about it just works. But so yeah, at the end of the episode, he's like, right, don't rush yourself, blah blah blah. We cut to Annette Pulaski, and she starts having dreams. There's a lot of talk of dreams in this episode actually, because even Bobby's dad had a dream, and
Yeah.
he was
No. He didn't have a dream. He had a vision.
semantics. Yes.
Look, he made a big deal about it.
Okay, but I would argue then that the stuff that Cooper's been seeing is not dreams either; they're visions too.
Maybe we should refer to it all as visions.
I think what's happened there is that Bobby's dad has just, unlike Cooper, has decided to just make them distinct and say this is this and this is this, whereas Cooper's just called it a dream. I think that's what's happened there. But he talks about how he embraced Bobby and you were there and you were happy and your future was bright, and yeah, we'll see about that. But it affected Bobby. Bobby wasn't the little dick that he usually is with his dad. He got a little choked up, and it affected him. But anyway, Annette Pulaski starts dreaming, starts having a nightmare. She starts, moving very erratically in her sleep, struggling.
Thrashing, maybe.
Thrashing, yeah, good word. And we see some glimpses of what she's seeing, or memories even. Arguably, it's more memories than it is.
It could be like a traumatic thing here.
Yeah, it's like a soldier remembering like Vietnam or something like that, where they have flashes of it, and it looks like we kind of know who the killer might be. It looks like the long-haired man, aka Bob, from either the future or the other place. We've theorised about where these alternate people might be, but the one that was in Cooper's vision, and it's funny actually because it clicked with something, because that was the other thing the Giant said. The other cryptic clue that he gave him was that, because they talk about the third man, right? There was a third man where there was Leo and Jacques. Jacques passed out. Leo left the girls, went to his car. So a third man took the girls, and we're talking about the third man, and he says, "You have seen the third man. One person has seen the third man, but 3 people have seen him, but only one person's seen him physically, or his body, or however he phrased it.
One person saw his true body, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, but they said 3 people had seen him, but not physically, and whatever the way he phrased it. And I was like, wait, so people have seen him, but not really seen him? And then, so when it started cutting to the long-haired guy when she was around, it was like, oh, that makes sense, because Laura's mum's seen him, and Cooper's seen him, and that's 2, so the third person would be the person who's seen him physically, which would be Renette.
Well, see, I thought it was 3 plus.
Okay, sure, it could be another person, but...
Yeah. But either way.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, that's someone that we know has been seen, but not physically been seen, like...
Yeah, because they had the visions of him.
It looked pretty creepy as well. He was screaming like a wild man. He was running slow motion through a door.
Aye.
And we got another glimpse of the Fire Walk With Me bit of paper, and
they talked about. I assume that was the poem that they were talking about earlier. Was it Bobby? Was it Bobby? So talking about the poem that Laura was interested in.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
I assume that was the Fire Walk With Me poem.
You would imagine so. You'd imagine so at this point, but I wouldn't set it in just yet. I'll wait and see what else to say. But it seems like this long-haired man, this Mike, Bob from the future, from the other place, wherever he is, it would seem like him is the killer, which for me is I think works really well, because it. As much as it's like, okay, maybe we know who the killer is, if we do, because it might swerve us. This could be...
It feels like it's still a little too early to just tell us that definitively, given that this is the first episode of season 2.
It does, but at the same time, but then the mystery is, well, who really is he?
Well, that's something else.
Yeah, sure, we are speculating and we're saying this and that, and they mentioned that it's similar to... They've mentioned since the first episode there was another murder in the south of the state, that they think the same killer, and Leo had an alibi for that first one, so they don't think it's him. And which actually is one of the other funny little moments is they have Lucy and Andy. Like, you have to look through all the Flesh World magazines and see if you can find a picture of the previous victim. It's like, Lucy, I'm really awkward being in this situation with you. She's like, we're both professionals, and then she opens the magazine and goes, huh. Little high-pitched squeal, like, I was not expecting that. That was another funny little joke.
Yeah.
But no, a long-haired man.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
I'm really looking forward to like the hunt for the long-haired man. Like, I have no idea how they're going to get to it quite yet. I mean, obviously
that's the thing. It's like, we know, but they don't have any of this knowledge.
Not really.
Cooper's the closest with his cryptic messaging.
But here's the thing, though, with Pulaski having this nightmare, I think that would imply that she is going to wake up and be able to provide some of this information.
That's possible, assuming she chooses to.
Well, that's a whole other. I'll tell you this, though, there was a lot of people in hospitals in this episode because it was dealing with all the people who had either been in the fire, shot, whatever. Shelley's in the hospital, Bobby comes and sees her. Who else in the hospital? Cooper's obviously in the hospital at one point. Nadine's in the hospital. She's in a coma from the pill. She's not dead yet. And that was another funny scene, actually, was Albert sort of... He agrees to be quiet and go and get coffee whilst Ed's telling his traumatic story about how they got married and how he shot her eye out accidentally, and Albert's just sort of giggling over with his coffee and like wiping his tears away.
Oh, so funny. Yeah. None of it was as funny, though, for me as in the opening bit. Like, Cooper's lying there, bleeding out, and he's talking to Diane, and he goes, "I really want to visit Tibet."
Yeah, what he dreamed about in the first... Well, he didn't dream in the first season, but he mentioned that he dreamt about it in the past. Yeah,
and he was talking about the Dalai Lama getting this country back again, and I was like, this is what you think of when you're dying.
Here's a question. What happened to Donna?
That's a good question.
Because she's acting a little differently in this episode. She has more of an edge to her. She seems to have embraced her own dark side. It's rather bizarre. And James points it out. He notices it and questions it. Maddie doesn't question it so much, but certainly...
she has her own weird moment, though, doesn't she, Maddie? With the glasses.
Yeah, where she rips her... It's like, yeah, I'm ready to evolve from this. And she snaps her glasses. Yeah, I wonder what that is. Is that like the influence of Laura? Like, because they talk a lot about Laura leading a double life, and Jacoby talks about that when they question him about the necklace and whatnot. And like, I'm wondering, like, is that influence like seeping into some of the other characters? Are they being influenced with that sort of mindset?
Could be.
And speaking of the teenage characters, Audrey, of course, One-Eyed Jax, trying desperately not to be sexually assaulted by her father.
It was gloriously awkward.
It was funny though because she kept getting just away from him.
Yeah. But
obviously she's in this situation, and there's that great bit at the end where she's like praying to Cooper, like, did you not find my note? It was like, oh yeah, the note, where's the note? And then it was like under the bed, and she's like, yeah, I might be a bit in over my head here.
Yeah, I assume that's the thing, because obviously the final thing the Giant says to Cooper is that he's forgotten something.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And then he turns into a ball of light and goes into his throat.
And
I'm just leaving that. I've just thought we should mention that. But I'm assuming the thing he's forgotten is that he had the note.
Yeah, I would expect that because he did get the note. He never read it, but he got the note. And
because the only other thing I can think it could be referring to would be he forgot what he was told when he was in the other place.
Maybe, yeah. But the note seems more obvious because we all know that now. We all clearly remember it, and it makes sense that he wouldn't be thinking of that. He just got shot. He's not. Yeah,
he's allowed to forget a little bit here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all very interesting. Throughout the whole episode, Leland, Laura's father, his hair's gone white. He's back in action as a lawyer. He seems to be uplifted because, of course, he thinks he's killed Laura's killer because he killed Jacques in the finale.
He's as far as he's concerned, justice has been had. He can move on.
And he ends up collapsing when he's trying to sing his songs at the.
He's as strange as ever still.
Yeah. Uh, Meanwhile, going back to Donna and Maddie, Donna received a mysterious letter at the diner, telling her to look into the Meals on Wheels. And this has not been mentioned, I don't think, since the first episode. But Laura was actually involved in a Meals on Wheels program where she was helping feed people, elderly people, I assume. After school, that was one of the things she was doing. I remember joking about how she had so many activities. She was helping Audrey's mentally ill brother, or mentally disabled brother, read and write. Who I've not seen him in a while either. That seems to have kind of drifted into the background.
Mm.
Ben and Jerry are evil, and they're working with Hank. And
what a surprise!
Yeah, Jocelyn's away to Seattle for a couple of days. Well, at least
apparently.
So the note says. I mean,
yeah,
that could
I don't believe that for 1 second.
Yeah, there's also a mysterious man trying to phone Jocelyn. A mysterious man, an Asian man, who was at the hotel. We don't see anything else about him. It's just as soon as Sheriff asks, "Oh, who's calling?" he just hangs up. So
yeah, and then he phones Hong Kong.
And then he phones Hong Kong. So Jocelyn's clearly in the Hong Kong mafia or something. I don't know.
Triads, is it?
The triads. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But I just again, this is why this episode was such a just packed dense with scenes and information. It was so much.
It feels very similar to how I felt at the end of the first episode of the show, where it didn't focus on anything, but it's like, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing. And for the first few episodes were like that.
I think the first episode worked a lot better with it, though, because it was the start of the story and everything was kind of introductory. Whereas here, everything's so far along into the story that...
It feels like they're stalling us to set up new things, just because it is a season 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of new things introduced. And obviously, the scenes with the long-haired man at the end of Bob from the other place, that, like, he's the hook. That's the hook at the end. It's like, oh crap, this is getting exciting. That's not to say there's not a lot of good stuff in the episode. There's lots of little weird and kooky stuff and throughout, which I enjoyed. But it was very dense. Very dense.
What it feels like to me is they wanted to have... They needed to have all this set up before they told us about Bob. But they wanted that to be the end of the first episode back. Like, because normally you just go, okay, that would be at the end of episode 2, like the way this show has been very serialized in its nature.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have felt out of place to have it just a regular episode without that much to go on, without a hook of its own.
Yeah, but they wanted the premiere to have that at the end.
Yeah, just because it was a premiere.
Yeah, and I'm not even complaining. It's just there was lots of things that felt very, because we had the scene where they got the note, Donna and Maddie, and they made we have to investigate Meals on Wheels, and then it was probably a good 45 minutes later in the episode. We didn't see them all episode for ages, and then, well, we saw Donna go and visit James, and he noted that she was acting weird, and then later on in the episode, it's like another half hour after that where we finally see her again. It's like, oh yeah, I've asked about Meals on Wheels. And that was it. And it was so separate and so far apart that there's so many threads that are dangling in and out of each other right now.
Yeah.
So I would say that it was a good episode. I enjoyed it, but it lacked a little bit of maybe overall focus, where it felt like it was dancing in a lot of our directions.
Yeah. Well, with the note, with the Meals on Wheels, as soon as they got the note, it then cut to a shot of the log lady sat there as well, and it kind of lingered on her for a while. And I'm wondering if there is a connection. Maybe it was her that sent the note.
Maybe. Part of me just feels like that was just like, here, she exists, by the way. Remember,
it could be. It was just,
her.
just because it was back to back that it made me consider it.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I'm not ruling it out, is all.
Yeah. And obviously they found cocaine in Leo's house because Andy's a doofus and stepped on the plank and he got hit in the face. It was very comical. Very comical. But that's where we are. That's where we are in the case, and we're looking for the third man, and we think we know to an extent who this third man is based on that last scene.
Yes, we think for now.
We think for now. But let's not forget there was a scene with the one-armed man in this episode, which suspiciously didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, it's another case of this being a first episode where it's like, hey, remember this exists.
Possibly, yeah, that may be the reason for it. But it's still, because the sheriff definitely came back to the station repeatedly after that scene, so it's not like he was still waiting there for him to show up, so he must have left. But the one-armed man comes by, it's easily saying, he's like, oh, is the sheriff in? I need to speak to him.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's out. What is this regarding? He's like, oh, I'm here to sell him some shoes. Because if you remember, he was a shoe salesman.
Yeah.
If you recall that. But just the one-arm man's still in play.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it didn't go anywhere now. I'm sure it will come up again, but it felt more like, hey, first episode back, let's remind you that he's here. Because as far as they're concerned, when this aired, you hadn't seen this for months.
Yes. So yeah, that felt like remember this exists, and there was maybe some other stuff that felt a little bit like that. So no, I thought that was exciting. There was a lot of stuff in there that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's Twin Peaks season 2 has begun. It will be going 2 a week, remember, going forward. So we're done for the new season starting. Yeah, so we'll be back with episode 2 later this week. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff helps us a lot. Guys on Twitter, mailed_fuzz. Individual Twitters are on the screen for our general ramblings. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.